is just a handful of the bag loads of tomatoes that we've been getting from the greenhouse here on the allotment this year. And as usual, when you have an allotment, you end up with gluts of food, and the secret of having an allotment is to know how to preserve the gluts of food when they arrive. And back in the kitchen, we're going to have a go at drying tomatoes as a way of preserving them. Well, the first job to do back in the kitchen is to sort out the squidgy, softer tomatoes from the firmer ones, and these are a bowl of the rather softer ones that we've got from our last picking session in the allotment, and they're going to be used in a soup, and we're making tomato and basil soup with them. The firmer tomatoes will be chopped in half, and we'll lay them out on a metal rack with the cut face upwards. You then need to sprinkle a little bit of salt over the upturned faces. Well, these are now ready to go in the oven. That's the tray of them there, and you need to put the oven on the lowest temperature you can get. Now, in our case, that's 50 degrees centigrade. One or two ovens around can get a little bit lower, but generally have it as a lower temperature as you can. Well, drying time is about 15 hours, but they won't all dry at the same rate. So what you've got to do is just check every so often and take out those that you think are ready. Well, it's now the day after, and yesterday, after about 11 to 12 hours of heating in the oven, we checked them. We decided that at that point they were fine. We turned off the heat and we left them in the oven overnight, and this is the result. As you can see, all nicely dried. Now there are one or two, such as this one here, that are still reasonably soft and moist inside. That was a plum tomato, and it was bigger than the others, and they can be preserved by putting them in jars of olive oil. The rest will go into a container and they'll be stored in a cupboard, and we'll use them as and when we need them. Well, one other way of drying tomatoes is, as we have here, this is a set of tomatoes that we put in the oven last night at 50 degrees centigrade, but we only gave them about 4 hours in the oven, so about a third of the time that you'd really need to dry them right the way through. And the point is that these came out still slightly moist, and they're going to be preserved in olive oil. So that's the end result there, and just give it a bit of a wiggle around to make sure that any air bubbles are released. Now, the difference between the two different drying styles is that these tomatoes are moist enough to be able to be used straight away in things like sandwiches or stews or soups and so on, whereas the ones that are dried right the way through, you need to rehydrate them in warm water for about half an hour.